born 236 years ago at Tongue Tavern, down on Philadelphia's Old Water Street. I soon embarked with the Continental Naval Squadron and set sail for the Bahamas. Captain Samuel Nicholas commanded the detachment, and he was the first ashore. When we landed at early light on March 3rd, 1776, the surprised redcoats barely had time to spike their guns before fleeing their position. We seized plenty of shot and shell that morning, which we later returned to the British through the end of smoking rifle barrels. For the first time in our young nation's history, the Marines had landed, and the situation was well in hand. The year, 1812. I marched 600 miles with a handful of Marines, Greeks, and Arabs, commanded by First Lieutenant Prezio Band, to attack the Barbary pirates at the fortress of Derna Tripoli. We became the first American force to raise the Stars and Stripes over a territory in the Old World. In 1812, the British attacked our shores once again. We found that winning our independence was one thing, but keeping it, well, that was something else. More than 300 of my fellow Marines fought at the Battle of New Orleans. Although the British outnumbered us, we had the heart and the advantage. The British marched in columns, but we picked them off one by one as the enemy advanced. 700 British died that day. Freedom was ours, and the Marines were there. The year, 1847. I was a member of the battalion of Marines, who with General Winfield Scott landed at Veracruz and marched into Mexico City. Along the way, the Marines were organized into storming parties to attack Chapultepec Castle. By nightfall, we had taken the castle. The following day, at the head of the division of Army troops and under a hail of fire, we marched into Mexico City and occupied the National Palace. The halls of Montezuma were in our hands. The year, 1861. This was a dark time in our history as civil war ravaged our land. Our nation was divided, and so was our corps. Brother fought brother, Marine fought Marine. I stayed with the Union, sailed to Mobile Bay. My brother joined the Confederate Marines and was lost in the fighting at Dewey's Bluff near Richmond, Virginia. After the fighting at Appomattox, it would take time for the nation's wounds to heal. But forged in battle and sealed in the blood of our brothers, we are together again, Northerner and Southerner, Marines. The year, 1918. President Wilson called World War I the war to end all wars. I marched the dusty road to France with the 4th Marine Brigade and pulled up in front of a dark patch of woods. Our allies were in full retreat, and we were told to pull back to new positions. Our response? Retreat hell, we just got here. In the dark woods we fought the Germans, hand to hand and bayonet to bayonet. We plotted and finally stemmed the flow. The woods were later renamed the Woods of the Marine Brigade, and the Germans began calling us Trooperhunde, or Devil Dogs. But I always remember the forest as Bella Woods, and us as Marines. The time is now December 7th, 1941, a day that will live in infamy. Pearl Harbor was attacked, and the Corps was ready. Using the amphibious techniques pioneered during the Banana Wars, we battled from island to island. We braved storms of fire and breached what were supposed to be impenetrable defenses. I was at Guadalcanal, Tarawa, Saipan, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa. Names that will live forever in the history books of the Marine Corps and bear testament to the indomitable spirit and power of the Marine Air Ground Team. During this time, our Corps grew to 6 divisions and 5 air wings. Admiral Chester Nimitz summarized the actions of the Marines at Iwo Jima when he said, "Uncommon valor was a common virtue." The Marines know me as Doc. In battle, we wear the same uniform, suffer the same hardships, and share the same dangers. There is a mutual respect between the Marines and me. It comes from having to pull together in a tight spot. Throughout the glorious history of the Corps, Marines have often called out, "Corpsman up," and we have always responded. We are proud to serve with the Marines, and the Corps will never go anywhere without me, their Doc, in garrison, in the field, and especially in combat. We stand ready to contribute to the readiness of the United States Marine Corps. The year, 1950, 1953. In June 1950, North Korean forces crossed the 38th parallel and attacked South Korea. The United States responded, and General Douglas MacArthur called for the United States Marines. History has proven that what these service members did to halt communist aggression over 50 years ago not only saved the nation, but also helped to begin the downfall of that form of government rule worldwide. At first light on September 15th, the 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, began their assault. By noon, we had eliminated enemy positions at Incheon, making way for other Marine units to come ashore. We soon secured the beachhead and had successfully completed the amphibious landing. We advanced into North Korea and into the treacherous terrain of the Frozen Chosin. The Marines were surrounded by elements of 8 divisions of the Chinese Communist forces. Colonel Chesty Puller replied, "Good. We have them right where we want them. We can attack in any direction." And we did. Within 13 days, the Marines made it to the harbor at Hungyang, bringing all their dead and wounded with them. The year, 1965. Vietnam. It was hot and frustrating. In the beginning, we pursued a determined and relentless foe, chasing down VC and NVA, humming through marshy rice paddies and the booby-trap-infested villages of Vietnam. We quickly relearned the hard lessons of guerrilla warfare. I was in many bloody firefights, such as Operation Starlight, Golden Fleece, Waste City, and the Tet Offensive. Like my enemy, I never quit. In the cities, we paid with our blood in house-to-house fighting. But in the bush, we had help from our brothers in the skies. Without these Marine pilots, stories like Hill 881 and Khe Sanh might have very different endings. The year, 1983. I was part of the 32nd MAW, sent in to help with the evacuation of 580 U.S. citizens from Lebanon. Later, as part of a multinational force, we took up position in Beirut International Airport. On the 23rd of October, a truck destroyed the barracks housing the Marines, killing 220 and wounding 70, making it the highest one-day death toll in the Corps since World War II. The year, 1991. Iraq invades Kuwait, and after 6 months of buildup in Saudi Arabia, we made our ground movement on 24 February toward Kuwait with over 84,000 Marines from the 1st and 2nd Marine Divisions. And on 28 February, at 08 Kuwait time, a ceasefire was called. We had reached Kuwait City, capturing over 22,000 prisoners and destroying hundreds of armored vehicles. Marines around the world continue to demonstrate their courage and commitment as they face the brutality and fanaticism of a new enemy. The attacks in Beirut, Kenya, Tanzania, the USS Cole, and many other places around the world were a horrific prelude to the enormous tragedy that brought Marines into the war we fight today. On September 11, 2001, American soil was attacked, and the global war on terrorism began. As soon as the President called Marines around the world were ready, and among the first to engage the enemy, epitomizing the slogan, "First to fight." With the smoke still rising from the ashes of the World Trade Center, the televisions of America flashed with the familiar breaking news. The Marines have landed. The success of Marines in Iraq and Afghanistan has been essential to bringing about the defeat of the Taliban and other terrorist forces worldwide. Our presence there has allowed the reconstruction effort to continue. The faces of Marines of the past and present tell the story of a tough, disciplined, and proud group of Americans who loved to challenge and gave nothing but their best. Today the uniform is different, but the faces are the same. We are better educated, better trained, and better equipped, yet our duty as Marines has not changed. We are ready for anything, to go anywhere at any time. At this moment, the Marines are serving from San Diego to Paris Island, from Okinawa, Japan, to Afghanistan and the Arabian Sea. Our flexibility and responsiveness is clearly evident to anyone who would dare challenge our nation. It is the esprit de corps, the courage, and the professionalism in each and every Marine who has helped make our Corps the proud fighting organization that it has been since its inception in 1775. We have faith in our God, a love for our country, and a belief in ourselves. We have a heritage that sets us apart and a steadfast dedication to our Corps. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the few, the proud. We are your United States Marines.